nahihiya ka, may accent ka, o hindi mo alam yung mga technical words. And that's the kind of experience that actually informs what we're trying to do.
I'm not a client of TD as of now. I could change my mind after this talk. But
Dapat lang.
and if only through this show they can find out how to bridge the gap to be able to serve the Filipino community.
Filipinos are very industrious, as it is the fastest growing immigrant community in Canada. We want to be there for you.
Welcome to Thrive in Canada. Now here's a statistic that stopped us in our tracks. 76% of newcomers are afraid of making financial mistakes. And that's from a study commissioned by TD Canada to understand the financial lives of newcomers. Here are some of the key findings. 38% of newcomers reported little to no understanding of the banking system in Canada and how to manage their money, compared to 25% of the general Canadian population. 51% of newcomers reported little to no understanding about investing money in Canada. That's compared to 35% of the general Canadian population. 55% of newcomers polled said that it was, and it still is, difficult to manage their finances since they've arrived in Canada. Over half, or 56% of newcomers and 44% of the general Canadian population say that they do not feel that they have enough money to live comfortably in Canada. 31% of the general Canadian population feel embarrassed or judged when they seek financial support or advice. 50% of newcomers said they are interested in starting a business. However, 62% say that they are not well informed about the financial products available to support business owners. Now, that's a lot. Even for me, that was a lot to say. And that's the reality for many, not just immigrants, but long-time residents in Canada, young and old. So we will try to unpack most, if not all of that today. We are joined by Paul Jonathan Saguil, a senior officer at TD Bank and a long-time advocate for financial inclusion. TD Bank, of course, is one of Canada's largest banks with millions of customers and services across all financial products, and different services. So we'll talk about the fears, the facts, and what support actually exists. So let's dive in. Hi, Paul, and thank you so much for joining us for this episode.
Good afternoon. Maraming salamat. Thank you for having us here.
So first of all, let's start with the study. TD found that 76% of newcomers they fear making financial mistakes. Did that number surprise you?
I think it's a general trend with newcomers, and relative to the population, it's very stark. And, of course, there's a lot of factors that go into that. The newcomer population in Canada is very broad with, people bringing various language skills and, community or cultural practices and things like that. But sa akin, nagulat ako sa kasamang mga Pilipino doon kasi sa atin, sa mga kababayan, marunong tayo mag-English. So, minsan parang tinatanong namin, bakit walang confidence sa mga Pilipino dito sa pag-aralan yung sa system sa Canada. And I think part of that is because, we might speak the same language, but it comes across differently. And maybe that informs some of the study. But, we're curious about it. That's why we commissioned the study, and we want to understand our customers better so we can serve them better.
That's true. And so when you saw this study, what are the other facts that kind of popped out to you?
Well, I think it's on the different dimensions, for sure, in terms of just understanding the basics of the Canadian economy. Like, I think a lot of newcomers may not understand how, the different industries that inform how Canada, generates productivity, but also just the nitty-gritty of the Canadian financial system. Paano nag-work ang mga checking account, paano nag-work ang mga savings account, mga investment products dito. It's really, a lot for newcomers to take in. So in that sense, I guess it's not surprising, but obviously, it's something that we want to address and we want to help people meet their needs better.
So you mentioned about the confidence gap earlier. The study says 51% of newcomers don't understand investing and many don't feel confident budgeting either. Now, why do you think that knowledge gap exists?
Depende sa ang pagdating dito ng tao, what they're bringing in terms of, previous education, previous exposure to the Canadian or North American economy and financial system. And I think it's also, just general financial literacy. I think there's a lot of misinformation din ang nangyayari sa social media. So minsan, ang daming information na napupunta sa tao. Tapos hindi, yung kailangan nila, like they need to find a reliable source. Right? And that's what we're hoping to offer with some of our services and some of the tools that we've built for new Canadians. We've got a new website, the New to Canada Learning Center, where it is hopefully is a one-stop shop for people who are new to Canada, who can look at different things like what does it mean to open a banking product, what does it mean to take out a loan, what kinds of investment options do you have, but also things to protect them as they engage in the Canadian financial system. There's tips there about cybersecurity, about protecting yourselves against fraud. And so ang gusto namin na parang i-facilitate yung kailangan nilang maalam para may confidence sila sa banking system dito sa Canada.
Do you think this is something that did not exist before? Because there's a lot of resources online, and all the banks would have a lot of resources on the things that their clients need to know about. Maybe not particularly based on this survey, which is saying a lot, right? But like, what do you think we'll discover? Is there something new with the platform you were talking about that was not there before?
Well, I think what's unique about the platform is that it is a one-stop shop. I think it's hard for people, to go to one website and then go to this source and then go to another source and then try to piece it together. So we've curated some of the best tools and some of the best information available. We want to keep it updated with current developments. And I think what's unique about what we offer at TD is that we offer services in multiple languages. And so, people can get access. So once they go on the website, they can find out, more information about how to contact a local branch, where it's accessible to them, or they can contact our phone channel. And pwede silang makapag-usap sa mga kababayan na marunong na mag-Tagalog, kung kailangan nila ng tulong sa Tagalog, or they can speak to someone in English if they need to speak to someone in English, or however many languages. There's over 200 languages that are offered through our phone services, and in our branches, over 50 languages. So there's help available for newcomers from all different communities, but especially sa mga kababayan namin.
And it's possible to ask for that? Like, can I ask for someone who speaks Tagalog?
Opo, that's the value add, and that's what we're so proud to do this, and we're so proud to launch this website, but we're also been consistently committed to serving the Filipino-Canadian community, and TD has a long history of supporting newcomers, supporting the Filipino-Canadian community in various ways, and this is just one of the many ways that we stand by the community to say, we want you here in Canada, we want you to contribute to the Canadian economy, we want you to be part of the fabric of Canadian society, because we recognize the value the Filipino Canadians, our ethics, our hard work, our perseverance, all of that, I think, will make Filipino Canadians successful in the economy. And our history here in Canada shows that.
That's been one of your advocacies, to be involved in Filipino communities and see them succeed or invest in their success?
I'm very proud of the platform that TD has provided me and the ways that I've been able to contribute to our community. Ako ang co-executive sponsor ng Filipino Colleague Network. Ang ibig sabihin nun, there's a group within TD. We have thousands of employees around the world, but we have a group of employees who identify as Filipino, who have Filipino heritage, and we create community for them. Binibigyan namin ng oportunidad para sa mga kababayan natin na so they can grow in their careers, para matulungan nila ng mga kababayan natin sa komunidad. So we help our community members in the company, and then we also go out to the Filipino community to help our kababayan around. So, from small business owners to newcomers to students to seniors, we're out there. We're out there in our communities engaging with them. Some of us provide workshops, like the kind of tools and resources that we're talking about here. Sometimes we go out into the community and provide financial literacy workshops. We sponsor Filipino community festivals, including the largest Filipino community festival in Toronto, the Mabuhay Festival, which we've been doing for 25 years. We recently launched a partnership with Cine Festival, which is a very unique opportunity for Filipino-Canadians and Filipinos to tell their story through film and other media. And so, para sa akin, parang ito ang bayanihan. Like, this is what we do to support each other.
Canadian version.
Yeah, and I'm so proud of our colleague network, but I'm also very proud of my colleagues at TD who actually allow us to do this, right? Our leaders at TD, our CEO, who's Asian Canadian, wants us to be out and using our connections to our community to bring value and to where we live and where we work, and bringing people together. And that's what we're very proud of at TD.
That's good to know. And if only through this show they can find out how to bridge the gap, to be able to access that service or that goal of TD to be able to serve the Filipino community. Now you had a part in that, like making, or selling it to the TD institution to be able to support the Filipino community. Now probably it's our mandate here as part of, this media network or this communication channel through Filipino TV, letting them know how they can tap into that. What are the available services for you? So one of the things in the study is that many also feel embarrassed or judged when asking for financial help. That kind of popped to me because it's so authentic. It's so true. You can imagine why people would feel that, even those who, again, young and old, people who've had experiences with banking from their home countries but moved here and then all of a sudden feel lost. Sometimes you feel stupid asking very basic questions. Like, what are the things that we can do about this?
Siguro mag-umpisa muna ako ng may istorya na-experience ko rin to kasi my family is also at one point we were immigrants and we're newcomers to Canada. And, my mom's a professional. Like, she was an accountant, when she was in the Philippines, and then she got her designation here. Pero na-experience namin doon yung parang nahihiya ka. Hindi mo alam kung isip sa'yo na bobo ka. Kasi hindi ka, may accent ka, o hindi ka marunong na, hindi mo alam yung mga technical words. So, I totally empathize with our kababayan that sometimes you feel shamed and you don't feel confident, even though you know English, you can read English like everyone. The way that it comes across can be a source of shame for people. And that's the kind of experience that actually informs what we're trying to do, because we know how hard it is for people to come forward. So instead of waiting for people to say, I need this or I need that, we're thinking and putting ourselves in the shoes of newcomers and saying, if I was a newcomer, what kind of information would I want? What kind of information would I need? And we've tried to make it as easy as possible for people to find, as easy as possible for people to get through, put it in simple, plain language, but also we've made it easy for people to come forward and say, okay, I've read your website, I've seen the resources, now I want to talk to a financial advisor. I've seen the general information, now I want to make it special to me. I want to make it unique to my particular needs. And that's what we're trying to bridge, is that this is just a gateway. Our New to Canada Learning Center is a gateway for people to come in, understand the various offerings that we have, and then say, now how can we help you? You and your family, what do you need in particular? And we've designed some products and services, to tailor to newcomers' needs, but it really runs the gamut. And it really depends on at what stage in life and what you're ready for, right? Minsan, kung meron kang kailangan na mismo bank account o checking account lang, okay, yun. Pero kung papasok ka sa eskwela, then we can talk to you about a student line of credit. Kung kailangan mo bumili ng bahay, we can talk to you about a mortgage. Kung successful ka sa Pilipinas, tapos dadali mo yung pera mo dito, how can you invest it? What kind of vehicles, between registered accounts, TFSAs, what can you do so that you preserve your wealth if you're bringing something from the Philippines? Or you can grow your wealth if you want to save for your family here or take care of loved ones at home. And so those are the different ways that we're hoping that people are able to use the services and the tools that we're offering so that we can meet their particular needs and serve the community.
Great, great. So these things are currently in your website. Can clients expect to see this same awareness for newcomers' needs and limitations and insecurities in the branch level, for example? When they go to a TD bank, can we expect the staff to already know, these kinds of sensitivities and be helpful in that same direction as what the website is trying to do?
So I'm smiling because I'm just recalling the days. I started at TD almost 20 years ago now, working at a branch when I was a student. That's how I paid my way through university. And yun ang naaralan ko sa magulang ko, like how important it is to work hard, to support your family, or to contribute to your family. And that's what I did. TD helped me get through school. Like I was working at TD while I was in university, and I was able to graduate with minimal student debt because of the good job that TD offered me. But I remember what it was like to be on the front lines, talking to our community. Yung branch na tatrabaho ako, maraming mga kababayan doon. So naalala ko na minsan naghihintay sila. Pilipino yun. Baka pwede tayo makapag-usap ng Tagalog doon. And now I think about it from my perspective because I'm an executive and I'm a manager. And so what can we do to help our colleagues? Some of our colleagues are from the Filipino community, so some of them speak Tagalog. Some of them don't. But we try to educate our branch network colleagues to understand the different needs of the community. And we have a lot of tools and resources to support them. And we also have referral networks within the bank. So if somebody comes in and they say, I want to talk to someone who understands Tagalog or who I can speak to and be more comfortable with, then we can refer them internally. And that's the beauty of the network that we built and the platform that we built within the community and within the company, is that people know how important it is to serve the Filipino community because it is the fastest growing immigrant community in Canada, right? And especially in the Greater Toronto area, but also in major cities. It's one of the fastest growing populations, and Tagalog is one of the diaspora languages that's spreading all throughout Canada. So it's very important for us to represent the communities where we live, where we work, and whom we serve.
And this is very important to our success. Finances, of course, is something that is hand in hand for you to be successful, but also it might fall into not top priority of people who have to deal with everyday lives. Especially when you're new here and you're adjusting in so many different levels, your financial goals might take a back burner, right? But then it's something that's very important for us to put that in your to-do list and really have to put in effort to be able to understand and manage, because that's essential for your family's success. Let's talk about the cost of living and financial fragility, because cost of living was one of the pain points in this study. It says 56% of newcomers say that they don't feel that they have enough to live comfortably. Is that something that you see that is reflected on the ground as well? And what do you think newcomers and even long-time residents can do to balance survival versus long-term financial planning?
Well, it's an important issue, obviously, for Canadians today, and obviously the state of the economy is a lot that's driving anxiety for people. And one of the ways that we hope that we can offer that support to our community is to help them understand the different options that are available to them. But also just being there, right? Understanding what their concerns are. And our colleagues at TD, the people that are working in the branches, they're part of the community too. They're part of Canadian society. They're also experiencing the same anxieties. And the questions that people have were trying to navigate ourselves, right? But we spend a lot of time in community. We spend a lot of time talking to small business owners. We spend a lot of time talking to young professionals and students and seniors. And our products, as we said, are sort of tailored towards different needs. If you're a newcomer, we try to make it easy. Sabi mo nga kasi maraming iniisip ang tao. There's a lot of information that they're trying to juggle, a lot of different priorities. So we try to make it easy and simple. We try not to make our products complicated. For newcomers, we have a package that we can offer you so that hindi mo kailangan isipin, anong pipiliin ko dito? Like we give you a curated package that, parang baseline mo, kung kailangan mo mag-umpisa dito. Pero sa mga entrepreneurs din, yun yung importante din na kailangan nating pag-isipin. Like Filipino TV is an entrepreneurial endeavor, right? And so it's a small business. Like there's lots of different small businesses in Canada. And Filipinos are very industrious. We are one of the biggest populations for small business entrepreneurship in Canada.
Oh, really?
And so it is one of the segments that we really care about, and we want small business owners to know that we're there to support them. We're there to help them grow their business, help understand the needs of their market and where they can evolve their services. We have a mentorship program that we offer to entrepreneurs as well through our Future Entrepreneurs program. And so these are the different ways that we're trying to address people's anxiety, is to try to have tailored programs, the mentorship, and ourselves being in community to stay within the pulse of the community.
So speaking of business, in the study it shows that 50% of newcomers are interested in starting a business, but 62% do not know where to start. Now again, it sounds relatable, for example, to me, because I'm not a banker. I'm one of those who's like, we can definitely think about starting a business, especially if you're thinking about your financial stability, your future, your children, how it's going to be better for them. And as you said, Filipinos are very industrious, so we're thinking about this, but 62% do not know where to start. How do we even start unpacking that? So then some of them can think of, or maybe they already have their side hustles, for example. Is there any tip that you can say, or any words of wisdom to, like, if you already have a side hustle, is that something that you can pursue permanently and leave your job? What can you say about Filipinos who do have side hustles?
So I'm very proud, and I'm always happy to support Filipino small businesses, whether it's the bakeries or, mga tindinera, yung mga restaurants. Like, it's so amazing to see how much of our culture, the great things about being Filipino have blossomed into various parts of Canadian society, Canadian culture. We've got people who are servicing big businesses or servicing small parts and niche parts of our community, and our businesses are all over in terms of the different industries. What I will say is we have a similar portal for entrepreneurs, and if you are a future entrepreneur, it's also a resource for you to figure out how to get started. Things like, business registration, or the types of accounts or credit products or loan products that might be available to you. And you can also be paired up and mentored by someone who has experience in either the industry or in general in terms of questions that you might have. And I think the connection there is really important. And again, as I mentioned, TD is a sponsor of other community organizations. We provide the direct platform to support small business owners, but we also connect them through different organizations. So for example, the Mabuhay Festival that I mentioned, and similar Filipino cultural festivals across Canada, are the sites where small business owners meet. They have conferences, but they also showcase their goods, sell their food, or promote their restaurants or promote their activities. And so when we bring these groups together, they're able to make connections. They're able to learn from each other. Yung mga bagong entrepreneur, mga bagong sa Canada, na nakikita nila yung mga successful entrepreneur. So for example, and this is one of the great things about how connected we are, and how all these efforts are part of a greater story about how the Filipino culture sort of supports each other. Again, bayanihan, right? Our Minister of Small Business, Cherie Valdez, was a small business entrepreneur herself, right? And one of her stories, because we've seen each other a lot in various events. Rechie's a friend, and she talks about how she started as her small business, going to the Filipino festivals and promoting her desserts and the things at these various festivals. And as she grew, she came to know other people. And now she's helping people from the vantage point of someone who's an elected official and setting up programs for them. And that's the same way that we think about it, is that we work hand in hand with community leaders, elected officials at all levels of government, but ourselves as community leaders, community advocates ourselves, we try to create a society where people can thrive and grow and use their ideas to make lives better for everyone in Canada. And it's not just Filipinos serving Filipinos. I mean, one of the great things that I really appreciate about how Canada has welcomed the Filipino community is that now you have people putting on the top of their list of like go-to restaurants or go-to activities is to go to like a Filipino comedy show, or to go to like a Filipino restaurant, just like they would, before it would be like a fancy French restaurant or fancy Italian restaurant. Ngayon, pumunta tayo sa Filipinong restaurant kasi kailangan nating supportan ng kababayan natin. And then you bring your friends who are not Filipino, and then they discover like a great cuisine, right? So
Right. And then it becomes a full choice and not just because you want to support a kababayan.
Exactly.
Like, I would choose this over any other restaurants anyway, even if it wasn't just for supporting
palagi sa akin.
Diba?
Kung pwede lang, yun ang palaging kakainin ko eh.
Diba?
Yeah.
Exactly. And like, if I was watching this show, for example, and I find out that TD has these array or menu of services for me, especially now with the new product that you have, based on all these findings in the survey that you found out, where do I start? Like, for example, I'm not part of a group. Maybe I have a business, maybe I'm starting a business, or maybe I'm just trying to navigate banking, investing, savings, loans, mortgages. What do you suggest I do? I look at your website, and then what? What can we say to them?
So there are many entry points, right? And it depends on obviously on your time, your other priorities. We want to be there for you. At the end of the day, we're in a customer service business, and so our clients, whatever their needs, they come first, right? So if you only have time to visit a website, of course, we want you to go to the New to Canada Learning Center, the Future Entrepreneur website, and check out the resources that are available. If you want to spend more time with us, we can definitely do that at your convenience. Our branches are open, throughout the week, and we're open for longer hours than our competitors. And so you can come in, if you have a busy day, you can come in early in the morning, at the end of the day, or any time in between. And if you want to call us at your convenience, we can also do that. And like I said, the services are offered in multiple languages, including Tagalog. We want to be there for our clients in whatever way. And the best thing to do is, if you have questions, just ask. There will always be someone who will be ready to help. And if we don't have the answer right away, because I think that's, that sometimes the expectation is you have to have everything like understood and at the tip of your fingers. And sometimes we take the time to understand the different needs, so we can tailor the response, and we can tailor our offering to what's most important for the client, what's in their best interest. And so if there's ever anything that we can do, we're happy to assist. And like I said, the websites are easy to find. It's on td.com, and both the Future Entrepreneur and the New to Canada Learning Center. But we also have partner websites that refer to us. And so there's Canada Visa Partnership and ABC Life Literacy that refers to our websites in case you're coming from different parts of the internet. And obviously, we're on social media, so you can also follow TD on our various social sites.
It's funny because as you say this, and I was contemplating whether I should share this because it's personal, but then we all go for authenticity here in Filipino TVs. I'm in other banks, not TD. One member of my family is in TD Bank. Maybe that's why I'm getting the other feeds from TD. But I find myself, like what you're saying, that's why sometimes, I have to give it a think, because I do see that. I do see TD reaching out more to me, even more than my current bank, which I would wish they would do, because sometimes I'd get certain notifications or emails from TD on things that I actually really need to know about. And sometimes I feel sorry that I'm not a client of TD as of now. I could change my mind after this talk. But
Dapat
lang. Yes, but like...
I can introduce you to someone. I can refer you to someone right away.
I'm already at high level Paul here. But like, no, it's true. I'm seeing that. And that's from a very far vantage point, right? And I'm already seeing how active and how responsive TD is to customers. Again, you guys might have your own experiences with TD. I'm not even a client yet. I might have a different perspective when I'm a client with specific services. We do see that. I'm in 2 other banks that are not TD, and there are many things that I wish that they were more sensitive about, especially with the newcomer situation. That's why when I read this, I'm like, I can relate. I moved here. I haven't been here 5 years. And I thought I was adept with banking knowledge from being a professional in the Philippines for over 20 years. I thought I knew banking until I went to Canada, and I thought I could speak good English. Now I have a deeper understanding of what language barrier means. It's not just accent. Sometimes it's like what you said earlier, the technical terminology. Sometimes when they say something, you thought you understood it, but it means a different thing. So sometimes you don't even know the questions you're going to ask, because in the whole universe of questions that could be asked, you didn't know that you were supposed to ask this, and you didn't know that that was relevant to you. So it's very important that the point of contact in the bank knows how, or at least has a sensitivity to your situation, or know that you're a newcomer, so that they could explore. And again, like what you said, it can't be done in just one sitting. He won't be able to maybe determine everything you need or answer all of your questions right there and then. But just the fact that he knows that there's a sensitivity that you might not be understanding everything I'm saying. You might need something else outside of this. And there's going to be follow-up, and there's going to be a whole lot of different dynamics in the way you talk to each other, right?
Lahat po nasabi mo, like, I agree. Like, I think it's really important to have people working in these types of client-facing roles, but also the people who are designing the products and services. So hindi lang yung nakikita mo na tao na nag-interact kayo, pero yung mga suporta, like people in the back office and people who are working in the corporate office. That's what I appreciate so much, and that's what I'm very proud of in terms of how we integrate our client focus. The people who are focused on clients are not just the people who face the clients. Everyone at the bank is focused on clients. That is our number one goal. And even I, like, my job day to day is not to deal with clients, but I'm here because I want people to understand that my role is about clients, even if it doesn't face clients directly.
Right.
Because ultimately, we're only here because people put their trust in us. The banks in Canada and all around the world,
Right.
but banks exist because people trust them with their money. And we have to earn that trust every day. And we only earn that trust if we are able to interact and relate to our clients and customers and serve their needs. And just because we did it yesterday or we did it last week doesn't mean we don't have to earn that trust again tomorrow and next week and next month. And that's what we strive to do. And that's a passion for us. Sa akin mismo, inisip ko dati na parang hindi ako built for customer service. Hindi ako, kasi nag-aral ako, naging abogado ako, parang ibang klase ang pag-isip ko, pag-utak ko. Pero, you know, the more that I came to appreciate that everything that I do is about serving community, serving other people so that they can live better lives. And that's the ultimate promise of Canada, right? The ultimate promise of mga kababayan natin, other newcomers, is to come to Canada for a better life, right? Ganun dati, pumunta yung mga pamilya ko dito, is to give us, my two sisters and myself, a better life. And so, us as a Canadian institution, our job is to help with that promise. People are coming here for a better life. Our job as part of the face of Canadian society, the Canadian economy, is to help them build that better life. And that's what we're excited to do.
And this is very good to know from your level in the bank. We know that, of course, there's Filipino representation inside TD. Make sure that the Filipinos are not left behind when we talk about all these decision making. It's also good to know in the age of technology and AI, because a lot of customers feel left behind and sometimes question. And it's not just in banking, but in a lot of customer services, no? Do they still think about us? Do they still think about what we need when they make these decisions? Very simple things like interface of maybe your app, no? Or you give us all these services or things, but we know that it's for the bank to make more money. But what about our need for you to just give us maybe a quick view of our balance and how we can save and whatever it is that we need? Like what some people say about the iPhone, you give me so many upgrades, all I want is longer battery life. Then I know you're really thinking about me. You know, there's a lot of things like that now with customer service. And corporate needs to remember that it's still the people that they're trying to serve.
For all of our different products and services, we go through a lot of different consultations and different engagements to make sure that it does meet people's needs. And even things like, as you mentioned, the technology. We have teams that are focused on, user-friendly, and their design thinking is about, centering the user, making sure it's accessible, right? And that's why our app and our website. They've got award-winning designs, and the reason for that is because we're always thinking about, it's not just the average person or the quote-unquote normal person, but there's all sorts of different people that have different needs, different abilities, and different language skills, but also just different comfort level with technology. Young people have different needs in terms of how quickly or how much information they want versus people from different demographics and age brackets. And so when we go out there, we are also customers, right? I, as a TD employee, am using all our services. And so I need to be comfortable, and I need to know that something that I'm going out there and promoting and advocating for is something that I would use myself. And that's what I'm really pleased about, is that I think, as you said, we are and have always had a reputation for being really, really customer-centric. And I think that's something that we've carried towards, and it's all integrated. Our focus on clients intersects with our focus on making sure that our colleagues have a great place to work, intersects with our commitment to our community, so that where people live and where people work thrives all together. We connect communities. And that's why we do all these things together. It's not just, business on one side, and then the rest we don't pay attention to. It's all integrated, because people's lives are integrated, right? You're a customer in one sense, but you're also a member of the community, and you may not be working for us, but you probably know someone who works for us, and they're gonna be influencing how you think about us too. And so every day, when I wear the pin and I wear the shield, I'm very proud to work where I am.
So before we continue with the conversation, we just want to go back again to the findings of the survey of TD Bank. It said 76% of newcomers fear making financial mistakes. 38% reported little to no understanding of Canada's banking system. 51% don't understand how to invest money in Canada. 55% say managing money since arriving in Canada has been difficult. 56% of newcomers and 44% of the general population say they do not feel that they have enough to live comfortably. 31% of Canadians feel embarrassed or judged when asking for financial advice. And 50% of newcomers say they want to start a business, but 62% don't know what support exists to make that possible. So we're going to go back to a basic question now. Can you give maybe 3 basic advice when it comes to banking or investing that many of us can use?
There's a lot of different good information on our New to Canada Learning Center. I think it's really important to understand what it takes to build a good credit score, right? Because I think that accesses a lot of options and opportunities for people if you can access credit, right? And that's how people grow their businesses. I think it's really important for people to understand how to protect themselves from fraud, from other threats. And the world that we exist in, there's a lot of misinformation. And so trying to figure out how to avoid scams, how to avoid, fraud or theft, protect your own identity, protect your financial information. I think it's really, really important. And then, of course, thinking about the future. And those are all the things that are available on the New to Canada Learning Center. We talk about the basics of what banking means and how to build a good credit score. We talk about how to save for the future, and we talk about more complex investments. As you accumulate wealth, there's different products and services available to you, and if you want to invest in the stock market, there's different tools that you can use. And again, you can ask for advice as you learn more and as you decide more about what you need. And then there are also information there that's really important for people to protect themselves in today's world. And the information is always being updated. I think that's the important thing. The world evolves, the world changes, people's needs change. And so we want to make sure that we're always curating this content. So yun sa akin importante. Kailangan nating alalahanin na everybody has different needs, but hopefully what we have curated there's something there for everyone.
Again, the TD Bank clients and bank clients in general have very diverse needs, no? But what do you see as maybe common mistakes that people do when it comes to financial decisions or banking?
I think we're all guilty of this sometimes. As you said, we have we have a lot of things on our mind, and sometimes we miss dates. We forget. We get reminders and we ignore reminders, right? So I think that's I think it's not so much a mistake. It's just something that often happens to the best of us. Is that deadlines or reminders about deadlines,
which can have serious repercussions.
It has consequences, right? And so meet your due dates. If a bill is due, make sure that you have a plan to either pay it in advance, and we have tools on our app, on the website, if you want to make sure that something is being paid ahead of time so you don't have to go on the day of, that you can program it ahead of time. Invest. I think that's the other thing, is that people think, I don't have to worry about that. I worry about that when I get older. I'll worry about that when I have this. But if you put something away now, it grows over time. And I think that's the important thing, is that our products and our services, but most importantly, we are here for you in the long term. It's not just like, you do one transaction and that's it. We want to be with you on that journey. So from the time that you come to Canada, to the time that you open up your first account, to the time that you want to buy your first house, or your kids want to go to school or go to university or start a trade school, or if you want to open up a small business, we're here for you on that journey. And I think that's hopefully what we can develop over time, is that close partnership with everyone to make sure that we can meet their needs as they evolve over time.
Would you say investing is a must for financial success?
I think it's important for people to think about what their future needs are and to plan accordingly. And there's different ways to do that. Investing in different products and services is one. You can also get different protections for yourself and for your family. But also you have to think about the different things that they might need in the future. And planning ahead, putting a little bit aside for those rainy days, for emergencies, I think is just as important. There's different things that people can use. There's online calculators and online tools. There's always advice from people who have been through it, who have provided advice to other people as they've gone through these challenges. And that's what we do. We take what we learn from our different customer interactions, and we try to present what we think is good advice for you that can help you in your success.
What made TD commission this survey on newcomers?
I think we always want to learn more. We're a learning organization, and we're very curious, and we care about our customers. And we know that the face of Canadian society is changing. We know that there are more newcomers, and immigration is part of what's going to drive Canada's economy into the next decade and into the century. And it's really, really important for us to understand who our customers are, what their needs are, what their concerns are, what their fears are, what their challenges are. We do the survey so that we can understand you, and then so that we can tailor our services and products to you.
Is it easy to access what you were saying is the New to Canada Learning Center?
It's available on our website, and it's free. That's the beauty of it. We're not charging a subscription fee. You don't have to, even be a TD customer today. And in fact, our goal is to help you understand what we can do for you, so that hopefully you will put your trust in us.
Okay, so they just look it up? They just type in New to Canada Learning Center, or just inside TD, they'll find it right away?
And it's easy to find, and the platform is available, anytime for people. And if you have more questions, there's links to resources and a number that you can call if you want to contact one of our advisors on the phone, or you can look up a branch that's close to you and you can make an appointment to visit someone. And if you want to request specifically that you want to speak to someone in a different language, including Tagalog, pwede rin po yun.
So we want to give way to a question here. When newcomers do their research or go to an advisor, what should they focus on when first arriving and navigating the financial system in Canada?
Well, I think it's important for everyone, whenever you're asking advice from someone, is to ensure that you get to know them and that they get to know you and your needs. The more information that you're able to share, the more information that you're comfortable sharing, the more that we can address the advice, right, in a tailored way. It's also important to, compare different sources of information, and I think that's also what we're very lucky here in Canada, is that there's various opportunities for people to learn, and we're an open society, so people aren't restricted from finding out about different things. And the rules around what banks can do and what banks can offer, the rules that protect our customers, they're all available for people to find out. But I think the most important thing for someone coming in to ask for advice is to share what they need, right? Be honest about what you need so that the person can address your concerns.
And as I think it was mentioned also in the survey, or at least implied there, that it's not just the bank's job for newcomers to succeed financially in Canada. Why do you think it's important also for the financial industry and corporate Canada to collaborate in supporting newcomers' financial inclusion?
Canada is a place of immigrants, right? Our country is strong because we have welcomed people from all over the world. Myself and many of us, we're all products of how this country has been able to more and more over the years become more inclusive, become more welcoming. And that's our commitment as one of the major Canadian financial institutions, to be part of that welcome, to build inclusive economies, and to create communities where people can thrive and connect with their loved ones. And I'm very proud of what our place is in Canadian society, but more importantly, I think people have an expectation when they come to Canada, right? And we want to help meet that expectation. Sa mga kababayan natin, ito importante na we chose Canada, right? Many of us have options to go anywhere else in the world. Filipinos are actually welcome in many, many countries around the world because we're hardworking, we're easy to get along with, and we're funny, we laugh, And so I think Canada has a special place for Filipinos because we've recognized for a long time how important it is that we create an inclusive society. And what we're offering here in terms of financial literacy and financial inclusion is just part of the broader project of having an inclusive economy and a diverse Canadian society.
When you were new and navigating the financial system in Canada, you already told us before that you were working in TD and then it helped you finance your studies. How was that like? And maybe you can give us a glimpse also of how you rose up the ranks in TD Bank and in Canada.
Hindi ko na naisip na, ito ang magiging career ko necessarily. Kasi nung bata ka, parang ang dami mong iniisip na pwedeng mong gawin. And I didn't necessarily think that, going into, corporate management was something that I wanted to do or that I would be good at. Pero ang naalala ko nung teller lang ako, nung nag-umpisa ako. The best days for me was when you helped someone. When you were able to explain something that before didn't make sense to someone, or they were very busy or they were very rushed, and you made things very simple for them. Those were the things that were most rewarding. And I think about that today, why that stayed with me, and why that's very important for me and for my own success, is thinking about how you make people feel, how they walk away from your interaction, and let's say even from clicking on a website or using their app, how people feel after that, that's what they'll remember. If you make people feel good and you've addressed their needs, they'll always come back to you and they'll put their trust in you. And that's ultimately what this is about. And if you create that environment, if you create communities where people keep coming back because you've created this culture of trust, you've created this culture of service and support, those are the kinds of communities that thrive the most because you can rely on each other. That's the kind of communities that we want to create.
We're happy about your success and we're happy that you are cheering and continuing to bring the service to Filipinos, and that story from you starting as a bank teller, being a lawyer, and now doing what you do. I still don't know a lot about what you do, but from what I hear today, I'm so glad that you're there. So thank you so much, Paul, for giving us all these insights, not just about banking, but about being part of the Filipino community here in Canada, about Canada wanting to be invested in our own personal successes as immigrants as well.
Salamat po.
if you guys are feeling overwhelmed about money, just know that you're not alone, but you're also not without support. I hope you found this episode helpful, and if you ever want to go back to it, it's available on YouTube at FTV Public Information channel. This ends our episode for today. I'm Cherie Mercado Santos. This is Thrive in Canada. See you next time.